that since the removal of fuel subsidy, there has been no month that the money shared by the three tiers of government had been less than 1 trillion naira. Whereas in April last year, before the removal, the amount shared by FAC was 655 billion naira. In July, the amount shared was meant to be shared was 1.9 trillion naira. But the federal government and the state government, in their wisdom, felt we will keep part of this money. So we'll keep 900 billion naira, while we will share 1 trillion naira. In December, the amount shared was 1.7 trillion naira. So if at the end of the day, the government, the federation, government of the federation, and I'm talking of the three tiers of government, is smiling to the bank or banks with what is between 500 and 1 trillion naira additional funds, members of the public are entitled to the benefit of the removal, because that was the promise. We are removing fuel subsidy so that the money wasted, on importation of fuel will be channeled towards the development of the country, to address infrastructural challenge, to alleviate poverty, and so on and so forth. And what we are simply asking, not from the federal government alone, from the state governments, local governments, where are the benefits of fuel subsidy removal? Simple and straightforward. I'm not concocting figures. These are the figures in the public domain.
But where do we look if to ask for these monies and how it has been spent? Before the removal, if the allocation between 2022 and 2023, if you compare the figures, it seems to there are about 3 trillion naira difference in what accrued or what was shared at FAC, and that those will be asking question, where are these money? Just rightly that you have asked, how do we then be able to ask who of how the money was spent? Who should we be asking? Is it the federal government or the state government or the local government?
So I have made my own point based on figures oozing out of power, for the seat of power. It is now left for the media and Nigerian people to find out where are the gains of fuel subsidy removal. And it's so simple and straightforward. And we are also demanding that on a monthly basis, as was the practice in the past, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation must publish what goes to every tier of government. That was a culture in the past. At a stage, we were told the government was going to be run in a rather opaque manner. But we are saying there can be no opacity in governance because Section 22 of the Constitution, in fact, has imposed a duty on the media to promote transparency and accountability in the government. So you have a duty, and the media are compelled to demand on a monthly basis what goes to every tier of government. And then we compare what was being earned before fuel subsidy removal and what is paid to the federation account after subsidy removal. You will recall, Sheung, at a stage, for several months or even for almost a year, the NNPC did not remit any fund, any money to the federation account. But now we are told we're no longer spending on subsidy, subsidizing fuel. Therefore, this is what we are making per month. And so Just like the federal government is saying, oh, we are giving a 35,000 naira to workers, even though we are told now that only 2 months have been paid. So we also expect state governments, local governments to also announce what we call palliatives. But for me, I think the ideal thing would have been if we are now making between 500 billion naira and 1 trillion naira, can we share 50%? While the remaining 50% will be warehoused by an agency of the government, manned by credible people in the society to address challenges in the area of education, in the area of health, road, network and so on and so forth, so that we can see the advantage, unquote, of subsidy removal. Many of us, some of us, were stridently opposed to the removal because there's no society, there's no country in the world where government does not subsidize one product or the other, even in the most advanced capitalist societies. And that is why Nigerians must now begin to ask the government to discard and jettison the deleterious programs and policies of the IMF and World Bank. Because just yesterday, the IMF was asking the government.
Given that this will be the first time I'll be before this esteemed body this year, 2024, please permit me to just very briefly provide you with what we consider our outlook for 2024. Global outlook. I will not bore you with too much of those details given the time challenge, but I'll conclude in saying that globally, the landscape continues to be very challenging, and that key policy priorities involve ensuring durable inflation reduction, addressing fiscal pressures, and fostering sustainable and inclusive growth. The global monetary policy environment is expected to remain restrictive until sustained inflation reduction becomes evident. Obviously, that has huge repercussions for us in Nigeria. Governments around the world must grapple with rising fiscal pressures, necessitating credible medium-term fiscal frameworks to effectively manage debt burdens. On the domestic outlook, which I know is very important to all of us, we know and remember that the federal government of Nigeria anticipates a 3.76% real GDP in 2024, slightly surpassing the estimated 3.75% in 2023. This optimism is backed by key government reforms and the expectation of improved crude prices and production, which are set to drive economic growth. Inflationary pressures are expected to decline in 2024 due to the CBN's inflationary targeting policy, aiming to rein in inflation to 21.4%, aided by improved agricultural productivity and easing global supply chain pressures. The Nigerian foreign exchange market is currently facing increased demand pressures, causing a continuous decline in the value of the naira. Factors contributing to this situation include speculative forex demand, inadequate forex supply due to non-remittance of crude oil earnings to the CBN, increased capital outflows, and excess liquidity from the fiscal activities. The shift to a market-driven exchange rate was intended to create a stable macroeconomic environment and discourage currency hoarding. However, short-term volatilities attributed to arbitrage and speculation have been an issue. To address exchange rate volatility, a comprehensive strategy has been initiated to enhance liquidity in the forex markets, and I made reference to the outcome of that earlier. This includes unifying FX market segments, clearing outstanding FX obligations, introducing new operational mechanisms for BDCs, enforcing the net open position limits, and adjusting the remunerable standard deposit facility cap. Honourable members, we understand the economic costs of these developments, not just for the economy, but also as they affect ordinary Nigerians. However, as I mentioned in previous engagements, these costs are temporary, and our decisions will address a lot of fundamental issues bothering Nigeria's macroeconomic landscape. Honourable members, these measures aimed at ensuring a more market-oriented mechanism for exchange rate determination will boost foreign exchange inflows, stabilize the exchange rate, and minimize its pass-through to domestic inflation.